Have you ever thought that planning in photography actually kills the magic? We all love to be spontaneous, right? Like photography is so much fun. Why do we want to plan it? And it just kills the spontaneity, right? But after judging 100,000 photos as a judge for Nature Photographer of the Year, Bird Photographer of the Year, and Share the View, I realized that being spontaneous, not planning, is actually worse than any of the camera mistakes. So in this video, I'm going to show you why planning is critical and how you can apply it in your photography so that you can take those amazing emotional photos that everybody dreams about. So here it is. So in photography, planning is actually not controlling. So just consider if you are going hiking and you have a destination and you have a starting point, right, at the trailhead, right? So what happened is that imagine you have a compass right here, right? So this is it doesn't look like a compass, but like north and south, stuff like that. And then from the map, right, you kind of know that, okay, this is the starting point, and then this is the end point, right? So you know that you're going to go in this direction, right? So with the compass, that will allow you to get to your destination without going into something that is completely off the destination, right? But however, is this going to be a straight line? No, it's not, right? Because there's gonna be some detour somewhere. Sometimes there will be like creeks, and then you have to go across it, and then like do this and then that, and then eventually you reach it. But then the compass is what helps you to get to that location. And for photography, planning is your compass. But then, Tin Man, like what about then? I don't want to lose the spontaneity, but listen to me, right? You guys can all relate to that, right? In the wilderness, when you go into a wildlife trip, when you go into a bird trip, how many times did everything go as planned, right? It's never happened to me. Like the weather, the sighting, the behavior, everything is just so different. And then you sometimes you forget something, you sometimes, all these kind of things. So, and the habitat, sometimes you assume there will be short grass and there will be tall grass. You assume that the birds and animals are going to be in the clear, but they are not, right? So those things always affect. But then when you have that compass here, when you have that planning, and what I call the planning as pre-visualization, right? Spelling, whatever. Okay, so this is pre-visualize. So pre-visualize is what we call having an image in your mind before you even go there. But then that is kind of like the destination and the compass there. And then when you are actually in the field, you actually have to do something like this. So this is pre-visualize. And then in the field, it's never as what you expected, but then you already have an idea, right? So how do you achieve something in your mind that is not there? Then you need something else called improvise. And in the many years that I learned from a lot of the great photographers that I admire, what I learned, the main difference between an amateur and a master, surprisingly, is not who raised the camera first and who take the photos first, right? And I still remember I went to some of the photographers that I admire, and at the time I was really new. I saw that the wolf is showing up, the foxes are showing up, and like what is happening? How come these photographers who I admire didn't really immediately get the shot? They're gonna move away. But what I learned from them is that they will wait, they will observe. They actually let go of that desire to immediately click like everybody else. But they look around like, where is this animal moving to? What are the potential habitats that can enhance my photo when the animal actually get there, and stuff like that. They immediately scan the location, but don't get me wrong, they are never slow. But what they do is they would always pause for this tiny little bit of seconds to really think about their shots, and then they move. But they move swiftly. They don't move like creating a lot of noise. They don't affect everybody. But they route around behind everybody, you know, to make sure that the animals are not affected, the other photographers are not affected if there are more people there and stuff like that. And they cut into that location and they wait. And lo and behold, of course, sometimes the animals change locations and stuff, but they are very patient. They are okay with that. But then like they gamble. They you know, like if that happens, that would be a great shot. So they don't settle for something that is kind of like, you know, drive by taking photos like that. They don't like settle for those what I call the fast food photography. They think about their shots and then they get it like that. So that is really the thing about how they improvise in the field. But what is really going on here, man? I'm still confused about this pre-visualization and improvise. So let me show you an example. Okay, so that is even better. So, okay, oh, this is pretty cool. So one year, I was in Yellowstone National Park. And you know, in Yellowstone, it is quite rare to see a wolf pack, right? Or a single wolf in that sense. Because they're quite elusive. And then also there are rules in the park that, you know, you need to be like at least 100 yards away from them. But so one winter, I went there and you know, after many days of waiting, we finally got lucky. And so this is the row. Okay, so this is where the row is. And then there's a valley here, right? Okay, so this is the row. And so on the other side of that, there is a ridge, right? So there's a high ridge. So on the row, so we can't get down here, right? We can't get to the valley because it's pretty deep. And then on here, there's a waist of the hill, and then there's a top of the ridge here. And then there is a wolf. Wolf right there, right? So all the photographers, so you know, we parked our car and then we got there, and there's definitely more than 100 yards there and stuff like that, you know, like this. So the slope right there. So they're kind of on top of the rift. And so I see that the photographers are setting up their tripod, like long lenses, tripod, long lenses, tripod, long lenses, and then they were just shooting away. so that's what happened. So in that day, very fortunate that we actually have some new snow. So this place is covered with snow right here, right? So now let's turn into the situation right here. So that is the ridge, right? From where we saw the wolf, right? So there are these trees right here. And then there are trees right here, and then there are like this grass here, this tall grass here, and this tall grass here, and then the wolf is kind of like here. Right. So we were just waiting, and then the photographers were shooting on this side, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, and like that, like so basically like that. And so these are all snow covered, right? So before I went to Yellowstone, I have the pre-visualization. I study a lot of the wolf photos. And I realized that if the surrounding of the wolf are not clean, which is very difficult, but only if the surrounding of the wolf in their habitat is very clean with snow, I realized that I can evoke the emotion in the viewers much better without all these distractions. Because before that, I went to Yellowstone with wolves pictures, and I was so happy to get those. But then with the branches and stuff, it just never worked. So I told myself, okay, I need to get a clean photo of the wolf in the snow. Otherwise, it's not going to work. If, you know, like in the BCS model, in one of the videos, I talk about those distractions and stuff, right? So I see that. So finally, so actually there are two wolves. One of the wolves, which is a black wolf, started to move. Okay, so it started to go down here and then kind of disappear in this tree here. And I can see that the wolf is starting to walk over there. okay, towards this direction. And right now is a no-go because, the wolf is actually kind of like this. So there's the line of the ridge is actually cutting across the wolf. So I don't like that because I realized that is a very big distraction to remove that, to stop people from feeling of the wolf, right? So once you get down there, so now this line is no longer cutting across the wolf, so it's walking right there. But instead of just like everybody else who was just shooting like this, I know that this is not going to be a shot, right? And even if the wolf come into here, this is not going to be a shot because all this tall grass is just everywhere, right? And then as I observed, I realized that is very interesting that day. Every 30 seconds or so, the wind blows and then it stopped. And then the wind blows and then it stopped. But every time when the wind blows this way, it blow up some of the snow, the fresh snow there, and create like a slim line of this blur. Like almost like a snowstorm, kind of like a mini snowstorm, like blocking the feet of the wolf. That is really magical. And I saw that happening here, but those are not a good shot, right? So as that wolf is moving around here, instead of just shooting, I observed and I realized that, okay, there is a spot right here before another tall grass here and over there. So this part is about, I don't know, maybe 20 feet or something, 20 feet long. So this is an opening right here. So if the wolf actually go into this location, and then if the wind blows, and I know that for pre-visualization before, I understand the elements that if there is any hint of wind blowing of the wolf, it's gonna trigger the emotion in the viewers. If the wolf is in the snow, yeah, it is a good shot. But then these are the components I was looking at. So once the wolf actually got in there, instead of shooting from here, that most of the everybody was settling down, is if I shoot from here where I was standing, when the wolf show up here, I'm gonna get the butt shot, right? Because the wolf is walking away. So I need to get a little bit ahead in parallel of the wolf, so that the angle is still sideways instead of moving away. So I quickly go around here and then get into a location right here. So in between some of the photographer, the tripods, and I just focus on this area. Like if the wolf go in here, I know that it's not going to be a shot. If we go up here, it's not going to be a shot. And then I go in here and I don't shoot immediately. I wait not only for the feet to have like well separation so that the pose is better, and indeed like Leonardo da Vinci, I read his book, and he hasn't painted a lot of. I actually got a lot of inspiration from these oil painter grandmasters. He had painted horses. He had painted a weasel. So I analyzed like imagine if an oil painter can paint anything they want, any pose they want. Why would they paint certain pose? It's because Da Vinci mentioned that like when motion creates emotion. That is a famous quote for him. So he always looked for when the animals or the humans have elongated neck and like pose like this, things like that. So all these little movement, all these little changes in the pose create huge difference in the perception from the viewers. And when I apply it in my photography, waiting for those moments, the reaction from the viewers is so much stronger than when the pose is not ideal. And I talked to some of the wedding photographers, portrait photographers, and the pose is just super critical in their genre. And so in wildlife, it is also critical. So I was waiting for a moment on that. And also I was waiting quietly for this wind to blow again. And lo and behold, the wind did blow. I almost blow away my screen like this. So suddenly there's the wind blow, and the wolf was just walking like this. And I have like a clean view where I can have I put the wolf on this side, and the whole frame is pure white. So it's white snow. So it shows the minimalist contrasting with the black wolf with the paw, and then the snow falling. And I got this one shot. And then I put down my camera because I know that once it gets through here, these things are gonna be in the frame and it's not gonna work. So the whole section, I knew that this is that one photo, and that was my improvise from the pre-visualizing. So these two needs to go hand in hand. And then can you still say that this is not spontaneous, right? This is actually more spontaneous than photographers who set up their tripod and waited the shot, because you have to know what elements in the photo, what ingredients in the photo are not just about the wolf, but about the snow, about the wind, about this and that, about the pose, about the eye contact, and all these little things to add together to evoke the emotion from the viewers, not just catching a sharp photo of an action, right? So all these things is what makes the planning and the improvise so much fun to create these emotional photos, right? So after, so I applied this same thing and taught a lot of my students. And 1 year I was in Minnesota photographing some gray owls. And again, same thing. I pre-visualized a shot of a backlit gray owls, right? But like that was more detailed illustrated in another video that I did some time ago. But what happened was that we had a few minutes, actually a few seconds of light snow that, because when it's backlit, it's not gonna snow a lot, because the thing is when there's a clear sky, then there's not snow. But that morning we had a little opening of the cloud, so the sun actually came out for a backlit, but then there is snow falling. So I knew that there's a special moment, even though there was another owl that was a lot closer to us, and I could have gotten like a front light photo, but I knew that backlit and snow falling is going to evoke much more emotion. So I make my decision to focus on that. However, there are a lot of branches around, so I have to move around very quickly to adjust so that the branches are not getting in the way of that purity of the photo. And then I was just waiting for a good pose of the owl, and then got the shot. And I applied this pre-visualization and improvise together all the time in different situations. And 1 year I was in Washington State photographing foxes. Same thing. I was at the time I had some back pain, actually quite serious back pain. So I couldn't really move. So I have to improvise. And in the time I saw there's a little area that has some red flowers in the background. So I know that if the foxes show up in front of me, I can align them against the red. And I know that a red background always create powerful reaction from the viewers, right? And one of the things that I'm gonna quote Robert McKee, the author of Story, which is a legendary book, is that in order to have a strong sense of storytelling in your photo, the characters in your photo need to have conflict, right? So like one of the examples I just did for the wolf is that if the wolf is just walking in the snow, yeah, of course the snow, people feel that it's cold in harsh winter, people can feel it. But if we can capture the moment when the wind was blowing, right, the windstorm and the snowstorm, that is harsh environment. When the harsh environment create a conflict, how do these animals survive in this harsh environment? So a character in the conflict is what creates a story, like in a simple sense, right? So when I was trying to photograph the foxes, I knew that in that area that is quite close to the den, and make sure that I wasn't affecting them. And I know that if the parent came and the foxes kids come and greet the parents, there could be potential interaction, right? But interaction is not enough, because that is just really the moment. But lo and behold, after I waited for a while, the parent came. I think it's the mother fox came, and then the little fox kid come and greet the mom. And I always look for the moments when these cubs look up. And then and interestingly, this mother fox, instead of just greeting the baby, it's almost like she was being playing hard to get. So instead of like just looking down to the baby, she kind of leaned up so that the baby was trying to reach her jaw, and then she had this. I shouldn't add some feelings to it, but it's almost like she is trying to. how do I say it? She's just feeling so pleased that the baby is trying, but couldn't reach her on her jaw. So she just raised up, and then the baby is reaching out, and her eyes was closed, really full of emotion. And that is what the conflict was. Like the baby tried to reach the mom tried to play hard to get. And that moment, I got a close up with the red background, and that photo wouldn't have happened if I didn't have any planning of what kind of photos I like planning on like the time when the babies are showing, like the time for the babies to show up in that time, and all these things, but also understanding that red is a key element for this kind of photos. And in the field, I make sure that the frame doesn't have any of the tall grasses and branches and stuff, and I waited for the moment with that conflict or that emotional moment, and I captured it, and that photo won the wildlife category in Nature's Best William Smith Prize that year. So that is another example of this thing. So you may still ask me, so like Tinman, so is spontaneity really bad, and is planning the only way to go? So I want to have a quote at the end to show you what Robert McKee was talking about. For people, there are different kinds of photographers in the world, and in the beginning, I was all about spontaneous and trying to truly express myself, and I just wing it, get in the field and wing it. But then I decided to commit to trying to master the craft. I'm still on this journey, and there's a long way to go. But I want to share with you what Robert McKee talked about. So he said some dreading that awareness of how they do what they do would cripple their spontaneity, never study the craft. Instead, they march along in a lockstep of unconscious habit. Thinking is instinct. Their dreams of creating unique works of power and wonder are seldom, if ever, realized. They put in long, tough days, for no matter how it's taken, the writers, they call it the writers, now we can assume it's photographers. The writer's role is never smooth, and because they have a gift, from time to time their efforts draw applause, but in their secret selves, they know they are just taking talent for a walk. So, Robert McKee realized that talent only count for 10% of the final masterpiece, and 90% of the time is actually turning this talent into knowledge. And if instead of practicing just the skill of capturing a sharp photo, and then just relying on your talents in the field to get it, that is never a good thing. That may allow you to win an award here and there, and that's it. And then there is nothing. But what truly matters is to keep consistently creating creative, powerful, emotional photos. And the only way to do it is to combine pre-visualization and improvise together to turn this to turn talent into knowledge. And I want to tell you that pre-visualization and improvise, called P and I, is just two of the main section of the whole overall system that I have been using to teach my students and apply it for my own photography. And So the whole system is called EPIC. E stands for emulate, P is pre-visualize, I is improvise, and C is curate. So these are also super important. I don't have time to go over all these things, but make sure to join the email list. The link is below. And if you have any questions, you are more than welcome to submit your questionnaire. That is also in the link below, to send me a photo so that in some of the future sections in YouTube, I'll do some critique to help you. And make sure to check out this video where I talk more about the encounter of the great owl and how I apply the same method. Can I do this to get the shot? So look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you very much. Let me make sure that I don't have anything missed. Yeah, so I forgot one important thing. It is, remember I mentioned about all the true masters, when they are in the field, when they see something, they don't just panic or like spontaneous and stuff. They pause and they think, right? I remember a famous quote by Gaugin. He said, I close my eyes and I see. And I didn't understand that before, but now I understand much more, because in the field, when you are taking photos, you really have to close your eyes and detach yourself from the animal and the birds and really think about the surrounding, the color, the bright and dark, the light ratio, the textures, the composition, the pose, the eye contact, the placement, everything. You just can't handle all of this if you just raise your camera to take it. So just learn from Gaugin. Just take a deep breath and close your eyes so that you can see. Anyways, hope that you guys don't think I'm crazy, but I hope that helps, and I'll see you guys next time.